Yo ho ho! What's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you another One Punch Man review. Today we're going to be covering chapter 131, titled Heroes Never Lose. Now, this is a great one. There's a lot of plot that came into it. There's a lot of ideology that could be dropped into us. There could be a lesson or a message that's being portrayed in the story. And we're going to talk about Metal Bat's power now. Monaco turned out to be a girl, or that's the name that was given to her. Eyeball is what it stands for. So it's gonna be cool to see that character elaborate more. She's been fun to be around with Flashy and Saitama. So I'm assuming that that's gonna continue for a little while longer, and she may even get some more development in terms of like her actual like capabilities and stuff like that later on. But aside from that, and aside from Suryu's declaration that he really does want to become a hero, but he understands that he needs to train first and needs to apply other standards to his character before he can actually go out and do his heroics. Aside from that part, let's get started. Remember, if you want to hop into the discussion, if you want to add to the discussion, if you want to contrast your ideas with me or anybody else in the community, make sure you check out the Discord in the description below. We have a bunch of different things that you can do in there. Casino. We have a bunch of different discussions in the main chat. One Punch Man, 7 Deadly Sins, One Piece, all kinds of anime and manga to come through. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out our Discord. The link is also in the description. You can support us with different tiers: $2, $5, $10. However you want to support the channel, it'll be accepted, and you'll be giving special perks for your contribution. Now let's get into it. The hype of the chapter is Metal Bat. Old boy is back. It's been a long time since we've seen him, about like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. Whatever the time is, I'm glad to see him. He's one of my preferred characters. His aesthetics were really cool. His fighting style, his swagger, his demeanor, everything about the character was just so badass. Seeing him in the diner with Wagamba and Narinki was also really funny to just get to know the character a little bit more, because that was really our first interaction with him, aside from the Hero Association back when Boros arrived. So to get the contrast of like the character, how he is in like more irritating situations until now, where he's with his sister, so loving and he cares for her, and he's actually a hero. We're going to see more of the aspect of these individuals that makes them a hero. I will point out that like some of them haven't shown their exact heroics in particular, or their traits haven't been as favorable. And I'll give, for example, Flashy Flash and Atomic Samurai. They haven't necessarily had a positive or a virtuous display of like their heroics. Atomic Samurai does speak often of like the sword, or like a samurai, or the way of the sword, and that may be righteous amongst itself, but in terms of like his ethics, it looks like the good or bad or indifference that his decisions make in the story. And Flashy Flash, I wouldn't necessarily say that they've like established themselves, but this is an establishment of Metal Bat. He understands that heroes never lose, and that's the will that he holds forward. We've seen this with Darkshine declaring his will as a hero as well. We've seen Bang do it as well. Genos, several other individuals have put themselves out there, have showed us that they have the mentality of a hero, what it really means to be a hero, or characteristics of a hero. Snek and Lightning Max, for example, also have this and displayed this up against Suiryu. And this is where we make the connection with Suiryu. The traits that we saw Snek and Lightning Max portray in the face of Goketsu, an indomitable force, were directly reflected and I think permanently imprinted in Suiryu. Him seeing that presentation has aligned him with those characters, as well as other characters who show heroic feats along the way. I think that he'll also identify with them the more that he sees those individuals commit those heroic acts, and the more heroic heroes, it's kind of redundant, heroic heroes that he encounters, the more he will be imprinted upon the truth of what a hero is, the more he'll understand, and the closer he'll get to achieving that goal and being what he actually desires now. What I am scared of is that he may try and see this in a competition type aspect. The dialogue so far isn't leading to that, but there's just such thing as being over virtuous or virtue signaling. You're trying to strive and do something, and you want to let everybody know that you're doing it. We may be getting one or two hints of that, but I don't think it's pronounced enough for me to really accuse Suiryu of that. Aside from that point, it's really badass to see all these individuals coming back into the story. Genos literally showed up in the previous chapters, Metal Bat this chapter, to come into play into the current conflict. All these characters also have a narrative with Garou. I mention this because it also has a connection with the whole hero narrative and the hero aspect portion that the heroes are trying to show, like what it truly means to be a hero on their part, how heroes never lose, quote unquote. You guys remember back a few chapters ago when we got a declaration of like how powerful the S-Class was and how they were like indomitable until we saw that fist and then the fist was cracked, and then we saw the succession of all the heroes losing. So it's obvious this arc's lesson is to teach us that these heroes may not have encountered threats of this level before, and their wills are going to be tested in accordance to that, and we're seeing the results of those tests, and how they're going to overcome them is to be seen. But I thought it was interesting that like the chapter that Metalbat comes back, this is the dialogue that we get from him, or at least the mental dialogue that we get from him, and it's connecting with the arc in particular. So this is why I'm more inclined to look at the overarching picture of what this chapter brought instead of just like the literal pages and panels. Aside from that, we can hop on Metalbat. Metalbat's finally back, as we said before. His power level was what's at question. He just got out of the hospital after a tough fight with other Centipede, Senior Centipede, Raphaelian, and Garou. We don't necessarily know how competent he's going to be. I believe that he should be able to bring out the most of his power, but there's some specific dynamics that come into play right now that are going to be really, really interesting. I'm going to elaborate upon them to a small degree, but in the One Punch Man podcast, I was able to contrast the ideas that I'm about to tell you right now. So check that out if you want to see different viewpoints of what I'm about to say. So Metalbat's power fighting spirit works on the more damage that he takes. The more pumped up that he gets in combat, the more his power level rises to the point where he can smack his bat down on the ground in the concrete in a building a few feet away, breaks and cracks in half. This capability is a huge amplification in power. So with him being in an injured state, does that mean that amplification in power will come more quickly? Is he now at base stats, where we saw him in the beginning in the diner? He once mentioned in the Raphaelian Senior Centipede fight, it's been a long time since he was that pumped up. And we know that he progressively got even more pumped up with the encounter with the Centipede and then Garou after that, finally getting even more pumped up. So the question to state is that if Metalbat is injured and he starts a new fight, replenished with great stamina, but still injured, should his fighting spirit not activate quicker, and should it not increase his power even faster than what it normally would, at a quicker rate? These are two questions that we're going to be seeing in the upcoming, hopefully in the upcoming chapters, whether it's next 10, 15, 5, hopefully it's less than that, because we want to see Metalbat in action. It's been too long. We also want to talk about, with that aside, with that theory aside, give me your comments, speculation on what you guys think about that in the comment section. With that aside, we also want to talk about the implication of who he's going to fight. Metalbat isn't coming into the arc to do anything, or excuse me, to do nothing. We see that the heroes have now been given an intermission into their fights with their respective cadres. A lot of them, most likely, at least in terms of predictions, this is our predictions, won't be matched up with the same monster, the same cadre that they were fighting before. That seems like it'd be kind of played out. A lot of them had unfavorable matchups, and we've actually seen a lot of what would already detail the fights that they would have. So I wouldn't be surprised if one decides to mix up the matchups so we're seeing different heroes fight different monsters, mix up the matchups to where we're seeing different individuals show different traits or different capabilities that are going to be favorable in contrast to what they were showing before. And to throw something else in the mix, now we have the two ninjas that are free, now we have an overgrown rover that's free, and now we have Metalbat and Genos that are coming to play on the hero side. So these free agent individuals that are going to come into the equation are going to really help mix up the situation into a point where it's not predictable. We could see some new team ups, some duos, maybe even some jumping happening on either side, the monster side or the hero side. I don't think the monster seen as mobile, but that could be because of Garou's previous plan. We're now at a point where Garou's plan no longer applies. There's no consistency there. It's completely different, and the variables are completely changed. So more or less, the monsters are all on their own. We know that psychos can communicate telepathically, so she may have the ability to instruct them, but I don't think she'll be instructing anybody with Tatsumaki in front of her. With that said, Metalbat's positioning should be favorable. I'm hoping in my predictions that he'll end up fighting Garou like he's wishing. There's a grudge there. I'm hoping that we do get the rematch of the grudge, just like we get a rematch of Genos. So I would love to see Genos and Garou, Genos and Metalbat actually take on Garou. if you guys want to put your input on that question, we actually have a poll out already that was dropped yesterday. So if you guys think Genos and Metalbat can beat current Garou, go ahead and type in the comment section below what you guys think, and also check out our polls and comment there to give you an argument, as we'll do a poll video on that in a few days. With that being said, as we mentioned in the beginning, Monaco turned out to be a girl. Saitama and Flashy are stuck in the rubble, so they may be out of the picture, hopefully. Flash doesn't necessarily have to be out of the picture. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back to get another confrontation, but it is what it is. With that being said, come to the Discord to talk more and more about this chapter's greatness. There's a lot of it. Yo, whoa!